Hi, I'm Jared from KTWU. Coming up, a segment from Sunflower Journeys. If you enjoy it, please consider visiting ktwu.org to make a contribution.
Produced by both plants and animals, natural fibers can be spun into yarn that's used to create clothing, artwork, and other items. In our next story, we see how this age-old tradition is being rejuvenated as we pass through the International Year of Natural Fibers.
This one here is Mr. Shivers. He's a Shetland. This one is Agnes. She's a Merino. This is the Harveyville Project in Harveyville, Kansas. It's a workshop, retreat, and artist residence in rural Kansas housed in some old school buildings.
Nikol, a writer and craft enthusiast from Austin, Texas, and Ron, a musician and tattoo artist from Seattle, Washington, bought the Harveyville High School in 2005. The young couple moved in, bought some sheep, chicken, and are currently remodeling the school to suit their artistic endeavors.
Everybody asks, why did you move to Kansas? And it's because this is where there were lots of beautiful old school buildings being offered.
Although the school closed its doors to high school students in 2004, it reopened a year later to offer a different kind of schooling to people from all over the country.
The inspiration for the very first workshop we did, Yarn School, was that I wanted to learn how to spin. And we're pretty remote out here, so if you want to learn how to do something, you either have to drive an hour or 2 hours to take a class. And I had some girlfriends who were experienced spinners, so I thought I can't be the only one who wants to learn how to do this in a really intensive workshop setting. So I called her up and we sort of hashed out the plans for it, and then now people come here and they learn to dye and they learn to spin, and they just get sort of an immersion, sort of like an adult summer camp kind of treatment.
I came here because my cousin owns an alpaca farm, and we came for a felting class.
I usually do knitting, and I make hats and scarves and sweaters for my friends and family, and I just kind of wanted to explore other things.
You get just such an incredibly diverse spectrum of people. I mean, all ages, all sort of political backgrounds, all kind of lifestyles, people who are married, people who are single, people who do all manner of things for a living, but they all come together over their love of fibers.
Knitting, spinning, and weaving are crafts that have been traditionally associated with older women. In some people's eyes, these crafts were definitely not something that a hip, trendy, and young fashion-conscious person would do.
Especially with like older people that knit, they kind of look at you like, oh, and then it's like I'm at the airport when I came out here, and my tattoos are showing, and then I pull out my knitting bag and I start knitting, and like the 60-year-old lady across from me is like, oh, well, what are you making?
As a young generation gravitates to crafts, knitting, spinning, and weaving have become more than just something grandmothers used to do.
I keep meeting more and more people that knit, that are my age or a little younger.
These crafts are now a bridge between generational divides.
When you get to be my age, you're conscious of the fact that you walk into a room and you say, I am older. And then you walk in and you sit down and you kind of forget the age. You become, you're in felting school, you're one of them. There is no such a thing as, hey, I'm way older than you, or I could be your mom. You forget. So it's an answer to aging, I think, that if you do things and you learn things with people who are younger than you are, you become one of them. You sort of forget your age.
I'd say we pretty much, once I was a tolerable adult, we were friends as well as mother-daughter. We're working on, an idea that for us is a, intergenerational piece, because the process of my mom writing down her stories from childhood that happened in Colombia, in a time and in a place that I will just never, ever get to experience. She's telling her stories, and through the process of me reading and drawing from them, I'm getting to have that window and experience that.
young people are doing really exciting things with fiber, but I don't think it's limited to just young people. I think that oftentimes young people who are first experiencing a new handicraft immediately want to do the biggest, craziest range of things that they can do with it. But I think people of all age groups see what they're doing and get inspired themselves by it and really adopt that sort of philosophy to be more creative and to try to push, to push the medium as much as they can.
One local artist that is pushing these creative boundaries of how fiber and textiles are used as art forms is Betsy Timmer. She is a regular visitor to the Harveyville workshops, and her work has been featured in galleries in Kansas City.
As far as my art goes, I straddle lots of categories, and I will go toward any media that I get interested in to best accomplish my ideas. Lately, it's been a lot of textiles, found fabrics, old sheets and stained up cloths that I buy, along with a bunch of wool, lots of felting lately. This piece is made by a process of wet felting and needle felting. This piece itself is about just the feeling and the culture for women having to meet an ideal and see runway models and movie stars and diets and all the eating disorders and all of the pressure that women feel to look a certain way. Usually I get a lot of laughter when people come down here and first see the work. When people look closer, they start to recognize the objects that I'm using and the materials, and then they have a connection with it. And usually, if they spend a little time with the pieces, people really start to understand what it's about. There's a growing value on things that are handmade, and a looking back at things that were very time-consuming, like hand stitching something or crocheting, knitting, and it's almost a reaction against everything being so mass-produced.
Over the years, there has been an evolution of thought about natural and synthetic fibers. In the 1950s and 60s, the benefits of synthetic fibers were promoted as a big leap in the clothing industry.
The magic of modern chemistry rocketed us into a new world of modern fabrics. Continuous, exciting technological discoveries gave us such man-made fibers as rayon and acetate, and such synthetics as nylon, acrylan, dacron.
But as more people begin to embrace the value of localism in handmade crafts, those that are new to knitting, spinning, and weaving are also realizing the benefits of natural fibers.
It's just a reaction against everything being so slick and, assembly line made in China.
Get the whole piece wet. All right, now, here's the fun part.
Getting wool and knitting and is just really organic, and it's just kind of goes with the lifestyle and making your own clothes.
It's exciting what a broad spectrum of people are involved in this kind of thing and making things with their hands now. It doesn't matter where they're from. People are becoming more and more excited about it.
Glad you could stop by to see a clip from Sunflower Journeys. There are more great local stories out there waiting to be discovered, but it takes help from viewers like you and me to make it happen. Visit KTWU.org right now to make a pledge.